All right, hello everybody. It's the Meister from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I've got a very exciting special edition today. This is really cool. I'm really excited about this. My friend Jerm, who's on here with us, had a really cool idea to get a bunch of people together and talk about our favorite beers, some of our favorite albums. So kind of a top 5 list, or not necessarily best best albums or favorite albums, but maybe just stuff that's influenced us or just things we like or whatever. So anyway, gathered a group of people together and really excited about this. So I'll do a quick introduction of everybody and then we'll get going. So as I mentioned, my friend Jeremy Evans, Jerm, as he goes by, he's here today. My friend Jerry Howard, also known as Wookie. He's with us, and then Mike Alvord of Mindwars, ex Holy Terror, and then of course Mark Briody of Jag Panzer. So thanks so much, guys, for joining me today. I'm really excited to be chatting with you, and
thank you.
This should be fun.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it'll be awesome.
This is great.
All right, cool. Well, we'll just go in alphabetical order. So Mike, you're up. What are your fives?
Well, thank you for doing this. This is pretty cool and pretty interesting. And I actually spent a little bit of time on this. And I decided, like we talked a little bit before you started recording, I kind of reset a couple times. And I decided to go old school to what really influenced me. And so I'll start in reverse order. I'll give my number 5. Okay. And it's Alice Cooper's $1 Billion Babies.
Nice.
Great album.
The reason for that is when I was, 8 or 9 years old, my dad worked for Capitol Records.
Oh, cool.
And for some reason, he brought this album home to me. Probably wasn't the best choice for an 8, 9-year-old, right? I mean, with some of the songs, I Love the Dead and Sick Things, and then the fill in the middle and everything.
Yeah.
But it definitely is what spurred me to go into music. I think it's at least kickstarted it. And the pairing that I had with it is, it's not the greatest beer, but it's a pretty simple, light one. I figured with the lyrics and the songs of $1 Billion Babies. So my go-to beer in the summertime is Stone's Buenavesa.
Oh, great beer.
Which is kind of like a salt and lime lager. It's just a real light kind of Mexican style beer.
Yeah, great beer.
You get a little bit of the hint of the salt and lime, but not a ton. And it's got a decent kick, 4.7, so nothing, real earth-shattering. So after that, right, when I was 12, I was fortunate enough to have a sister who was 10 years older than me. And so she took me to see Kiss for their Alive 2 tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at the Forum in Los Angeles. And I didn't pick Alive 2, I picked Alive 1, Alive, because that was really the album that pushed me over the edge. When you see Kiss, and not only when you see him live, but when you see him on the record and with the platform shoes and the smoke and the fire and everything, it's like, okay, I want to do that, right? Yeah. I want to be larger than life, sort of thing. And so appropriately, I chose Modern Times, which is one of my favorite brewers.
Great brewery.
And it's Space Waves.
Oh, nice.
So it's a hazy Nelson, nice. A little stronger. It's what I'm drinking right now, 6.7%. I figure if I'm going to listen to Space Ace, I got to be drinking a Space Waves. Right? Why not?
Yeah, man.
That's great.
Great beer. So, yeah, it is. It is. So I don't know if any of you guys are local to Los Angeles area, but that's where Modern Times is at. They got a really nice spot in downtown. So if you're ever in the neighborhood, hook me up, hit me up, and I'll hook you up and take you down there.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Third on the list, and this, I don't remember exactly when I got into Black Sabbath, but the first, 4 or 5 albums of Sabbath just hit me like nothing else. It was a toss-up between putting Sabbath in here or Motorhead, because Motorhead is what really pushed me over the edge to want to play fast. But Sabbath, that's that's in metal. They're the godfathers of metal, right? Tony Iommi being the riff master of the world. And so I chose Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. And I do like Belgian ales. And I don't know if you guys have ever had La Chouffe, but it's a Belgian ale, blonde. It's an 8%er. Sometimes when I drink it, it almost feels like I'm getting stoned. It's weird. And I don't smoke pot. But it's like a weird buzz that you get with it, and I don't know what it is. It's no other beer has ever had that effect on me. But I love it. And you figure, Belgium's close to England, so why not choose something from over the pond?
There you go.
Number 2, and it's another live album. It's my biggest guitar influence. Well, there's 2. It's number 2 and number 1 is the biggest. But in terms of actual playing, Michael Shanker has always been something near and dear to me. I'd like to think I was playing The Wall around the same time as Kirk Hammett, but maybe not. He might be a little bit older than me. But it was Michael Shanker that influenced me.
Cool.
And Strangers in the Night, to me, is probably the best live album out there. It's definitely not anywhere near the thrash genre. They have a bunch of what I guess you would call ballads, so to speak, right? But they did it in such a classy way. Love to Love is just one of the best live songs, I think, ever. Yeah. And then Shanker's solo on Mother Mary on that album just blows me away. There's another local brewer here in Westlake, which is a bit north of Los Angeles. It's called Tarantula Hill Brewing. And I actually just found out about these guys about 3-4 months ago. And they have something called Liquid Candy. And it's sort of like a New England hazy. It's 7.5%. It just has that sweetness in it. And I'm not a big sweet beer fan, but it's got a nice strong hop flavor. But it has just a little bit of sweetness in it too. And I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's wonderful. And so I would sip that while listening to Shanker blow me away on Strangers in the Night.
Nice.
And then the last old school, which is probably everybody's influence to a certain extent, and it's my favorite band. I think if I was stuck on a desert island, I'd probably take one album from this band because they played all different genres. I guess they didn't go into the thrash genre, but they cover folk, they cover acoustic, they cover classic rock. I mean, someone would even call it heavy metal. Communication Breakdown is a little punky, if you ask me. And so I did, I probably shouldn't have, but I went with the live album again. I went with Song Remains the Same.
Cool.
And one of my favorite, and I think I don't know if they're the original double IPAs, but Pliny the Elder from Russian River, which is in Northern California. Wow. An 8% double that just, if you like hops, man, this one, it hits you, but it doesn't hit you with that sort of, real gritty bitterness. It's just something about it. You get that taste at first, and then it kind of just smooths out. So I don't know. There you go.
Excellent. That was great. That's a great list.
Yes, excellent.
That's very cool. I love it. I love all those beers. Well, I haven't had all those beers, but the beers that I have had, those are, Pliny is a fantastic beer. And those albums, man, there's a few of those where sorry, go ahead.
It's what formed me, musically
cool.
When I was young. Yeah.
That's very cool. All right. Very cool. Mark, are you ready to go?
Yeah, throw up one of my graphics and I'll talk about, they're in no particular order. So
okay, cool. 1 second here. All right. I'll just go kind of one by one here, and can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Okay, first one on the list is Blind Guardian's Nightfall in Middle Earth. It's one of my all-time favorite metal albums. I paired it with Lindemans Creek, which is a very unusual beer. I know a lot of people try it. Well, the first big shock is the price. Here it's about $7 a bottle, so it's very expensive. And I tell people there's about several hundred beers that are flavored like cherry or fruit, but this really tastes like cherries. This doesn't taste like a flavoring. This is the real thing. So a lot of people initially will taste a Lindemans and say, well, this doesn't really taste like a beer. It's more like a wine, or it's different. But it's a beer. You have to really sit down and listen to it. I mean, and you listen to the music, you have to sit down and savor the Lindemans and really understand the flavor and sort of let it sink in. And I thought that was a good pairing with Nightfall and Middle Earth. I played that album for some people locally who were, more mainstream metal fans like Avenged Sevenfold and things like that. And they initially don't get what Blind Guardian's doing. Well, this doesn't sound like metal, Ernest. No, you got to keep listening to it. You got to dig into it. You got to hear Andre play the guitar and all the harmonies and Hansi and all the vocal harmonies. It's something you really, really have to dig into, appreciate it. And that always reminded me of Lindeman's Creek.
Cool. I like it. Nice.
Next up, I went I'm a homer and chose my own album. That's Ample Destruction.
Great album.
Thank you.
It is.
Foster's. We were always, we didn't have a lot of money growing up here in Colorado, but we always wanted to kind of do our own thing. So we didn't drink Coors. Everybody here drank Coors. It's the local Colorado beer and it's cheap. So Foster's was just a little bit more money. So it's something we can buy and take to a party. We were also heavily influenced by Australian cinema, the Road Warrior and Mad Max. We liked AC/DC, we liked Angel City, or as they call it in Australia, the Angels. We just liked that whole kind of rough and tumble vibe of Australia at the time. So Foster's was sort of our go-to drink during Ample Destruction times.
Nice. Very cool.
Next on the list is Merciful Fate's Melissa, and I paired that with Black and Voodoo Lager.
Nice.
Black and Voodoo Lager, it's dark and it does have a sinister edge, but it's a little different because it's very drinkable. It's not heavy and doesn't weigh you down. And I thought it was a good pairing with Merciful Fate because, there's no black metal vocals with Merciful Fate. It's King Diamond's got the soaring vocals. So it's sort of a little bit different than what you're expecting, especially coming from, I know people that have been black metal fans, a lot of everybody my age, heard Merciful Fate right away, but I've talked to a lot of younger people that have heard other black metal bands and then got into Merciful Fate, and it's a little bit of shock because the vocals are a little different. So I think the Black and Voodoo Lager is similar. It's a little different from what you would expect.
Nice. Where are they from? I've never heard of this beer before.
I think it's from Louisiana area.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see the Dixie on there. Interesting. I need to check that out. It's such a great name.
It's similar. I guess it's similar to Negra Modelo.
Oh, okay. Nice. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a darker, but you can just guzzle one down. It's very drinkable.
Nice. I love it.
Okay, I picked Ghost with a very controversial beer, which is Samuel Adams Nitro White. Ghost is obviously, popular mainstream metal, but among underground metal fans, it's very controversial. I know a lot of people that hate him, and a lot of people that love him. So I picked a similar beer. I love the Nitro White. I tried it, and I bought every one they had at all 3 local liquor stores.
Oh, wow.
My beer drinking friends hated it. If you ever put orange juice in a blender or had an orange Julius that kind of takes the edge off of orange juice, Nitro White has no beer bite to it. It feels almost like hot chocolate in your mouth. I mean, it's very smooth, but you get the beer flavor. I thought it was delicious, and I haven't seen it since. Most of my other friends thought it was terrible. So it's a very controversial beer, but if you see it, it's worth a try.
Nice. Yeah.
Last up on the list is Motorhead with the Classic Guinness. And I picked that because anywhere I play or go in the world, every metal fan knows Motorhead and everybody knows Guinness. It's always consistent pairing everywhere. I mean, I can go to any place we play and go to a pub and Motorhead will be playing and you can always get a Guinness. I mean, it's sort of a common bond in the metal scene. So I thought it deserved a spot on my list.
Nice.
That's
a great list.
Good job. Yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, Victor.
Yes.
Can you send around everybody's pairings? And I would love to try some of those beers.
Yeah,
definitely. And listen to those albums at that same time. Yeah,
definitely.
I'll forward you my list as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Speaking of a list, before I move on to you, Jeremy, just real quick. So just so the listeners know, we had another guest who was going to join us, but he was unable to join due to some kind of an emergency situation. But he did send a list, and this is from Tony Dolan, the Demolition Man of Venom Inc. So his list is, and I'll just read it in the order that he sent it in. So he's got number 1 is Motorhead. His number 2 is Ace of Spades by Motorhead. His number 3 is Angel Witch by Angel Witch.
Oh, nice.
Which is a great album. Of course, Rain and Blood by Slayer, and then Clockwork Orange by the Angelic Upstarts.
Wow.
And then his
Nice.
beers, his 5 beers, he's got McEwen's Best Scotch Ale, Corona, Perla, which I'm not familiar with. Yeah, I don't know that. And Cobra, which I'm also not familiar with. And then Peroni from Italy. So that's
Nice.
Tony Dolan's list. So,
Yeah, nice list.
He sends his regards. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. But now we'll turn it over to Jerm.
Hey guys. Okay, my first number 1. Like Michael, my sister was 10 years older than me, and she bought this album for Beth.
Nice.
And I seen it sitting on her dresser, and I was like, "Oh my God, what the hell is this? I have to listen to it." You know, she put it on. That was the first time. My dad plays steel guitar, pedal steel guitar in country bands. So up until that point, all my heroes was Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings. But when she put this on, you know, I'd never heard harmonizing guitar solos before. God of Thunder. I mean, I remember God of Thunder, just that pounding. And later on in life, when I started learning to play guitar, my guitar teacher asked me, you know, bring in a song that you want to learn. And so I picked God of Thunder, and that was my first metal song on the guitar was Not Smoke on the Water.
Yeah, mine was too. Thunder.
And so I don't know why I picked this one, but I picked Keto's coffee cream to go with that, just because I guess I started drinking coffee, you know, at an early age. I'm half finished. So yeah, I bleed coffee. So if you guys haven't had this local brewery, amazing. You know, I've had several coffee beers that it almost tastes like banana taffy, like not literally, but that fake coffee taste, fake banana taste. This stuff is on point, man. It's delicious. It's really good.
Yeah.
Number next, Victor knows this story real quick. My dad gave me $5 a week for allowance, picking up dog shit and garbage, you know, mowing the lawn. So it took me 2 weeks to save up for an album. So they were going about $7 at the time, $8. And so it was a really big monumental decision for me, because I knew it would be 2 weeks before I was able to buy another one. But I went down to our local record store, and they had one of those triangular displays out in front of the kiosk there, or whatever. And I remember coming off the escalator, I turned on the bottom right. That was staring at my eyes, and those goats' eyes locked up, and it was like the Death Star tracks being, you know, just took me right to it. And then I flipped it over, and I'm looking, you know, Sons of Satan, welcome to hell. What is this? You know, look at these guys, maniacs. You know, I said, I don't care if this sounds like ABBA. I don't care what it is. I've got to have this. I took it home. I put it on, and I was forever changed. Literally forever changed. And at that time, I started playing guitar. I had no idea you could tone or tune down lower than E flat. You know, I was 12 years old. I had no idea. So I was like, how are they pulling this just incredibly evil sounds off? I had no idea. But anyway, I love that album. So I paired that with go along with my Black Soul. It's you went to Baba Black Lager. The stuff is amazing. It's dark. It's heavy. I mean, not heavy. I take that back. It's not heavy. It's just delicious. Really good. Another local Utah brewery. Amazing stuff. Number 9. This is what I based my whole guitar sound on. When I put this on, I The Thing That Should Not Be. It's not my favorite song on the album, but just that chunk, you know, I was like, how are they getting that tone? How is that even possible? And so that was pre-internet, pre-Google. I had to pick up every guitar mag I could find, just rifle through it, find out what they were doing, found out they were using Mesa boogies. And so I saved all my money, and that boogie right there I bought when I was a junior in high school, and I still play it. It's amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, that forever changed my my tone quest, you know, for guitar. The whole thing's just amazing. Find any of this, I don't know if supply chain issues or not. And I went with a big brewery, but Newcastle Brown, I mean, it's just, I love this stuff. To me, it's like, you know, on the candy bar commercials where that caramel just kind of flows over everything. That's what this stuff does, is, you know, that's just that kind of nutty caramely taste. It's just amazing. I love it. Number next. And none of mine go past 86, so I'm like one of these old men. Well, back in my day, Slayer, Red and Blood, of course. I mean, it goes without saying, man. You know, come on, and just incredible. You know, it was everything that Metallica was at the time, but even more aggressive, and just that little bit of a punk edge. You know, like maybe the Exploited and GBH thrown in there. And it was just life-changing to me. I thought, my God, you know, what are these guys doing?
And only what, 28 minutes?
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah, it's incredible, man. It's just incredible. It's an amazing album.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find any of this either, but I paired it. I bought it. I loved it so much I bought the T-shirt. But it's Kirstritz. It's a German black beer. And it's amazing. The first time I had it was when the Olympics were here. We went down to the German house, and that was in 2002, Salt Lake City. And they had it on tap down there, and we ate brats and drank that all day. And it was just amazing. It's dark. It doesn't have like a creamy head or anything like that. It's just you can drink several, and it's amazing.
Yeah, you don't want to get too drunk listening to Slayer, Rain and Blood, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That might push you over the edge.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this one, another one that just totally changed me, and it's Motorhead Orgasmatron. Now,
Nice.
Some people, I don't know why, aren't really keen on this album, but I love it, man. It's just amazing. It's kind of like that cover right there is almost like an analogy for the album, for the track listing, you know, Death Forever. And then it just starts chugging, and then you're screaming down to Built for Speed and Riding with the Driver, Dr. Rock, and then it comes down to Orgasmatron, and just, you know, and the thing of this album taught me is that you know, this is 86, right? You know, so big hair, big rock, big shows, big, you know, which is, you know, some of that's cool, Kiss and all that, you know, but you don't need a wall of fire, man. You don't need explosions. You don't need laser shows. Go back and watch Mean Machine that they used to play on Headbangers Ball. All you need is, you know, a bunch of filthy fuckers that love music and love what they're doing. Let your music speak for you. What's in here and what's in here, you know.
Yeah, nice.
And again, I'm not to be basic, you know. That's just, I don't want to say it's simplified or simple, but because it's not. It's amazing, and that's why I picked it.
Nice.
I picked this to go with Motorhead, man. It's just straightforward, no bullshit. Just here you go, in your face. If you don't like it, see.
Yeah, there you go. I love
there you
it.
go, guys.
That's awesome.
I thought you were gonna buck the trend and bring out a bottle of Jack Daniels or something.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Very cool. Awesome.
That's great.
Thanks, Jerm.
That's
That was great.
Thank
All
you,
right,
guys.
Jerry, you are up, man.
I have one comment about Rain and Blood.
Oh, yeah.
I remember buying that tape and I shit my pants because it was this on each side. It was the entire album on side A, side B. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
but I don't know. I took a totally different approach because I was having difficulty figuring it out. And so I tried to just like narrow it down to like more local stuff that influenced me or connected to me since I've lived in Seattle the last 22 years. Cool. So kind of took that approach to help me out with my beers and my album.
Nice.
And my first one is a punk band that were from around here for a bit, but I think they've relocated since. But this is the Spits first album. I love this band. I love this album. I love all their albums, but I always liked these guys because for a few reasons. Going to see them, their live show, it's just kind of dangerous, man. Throwing firecrackers in the crowd, and you don't know what's going. You got to be on your toes, and just really fun crowd, and just good times. And these guys actually let me use one of their songs in one of my films, so I always appreciated that.
Oh, nice.
And I connected to the. I'm putting this. I'm pairing it with it's Rubens, local brewery here in Seattle in Ballard. And this is a seasonal called Bits and Bobs. And it's an IPA. Not a hazy at all. Got 7%. But I'm pairing this because it's very dangerous. This is the kind of beer you go buy a 6-pack and the 6-pack's gone. You go, what the hell just happened? Beers and it's kind of like the Spits feel a little dangerous when you go out to their show and whatnot, you know?
Nice.
So this is my, when this goes away for the year, I always like I'm totally bummed out, you know, but it's good time. It's a spring beer, but it comes out in winter because they always come out a little bit earlier. My second selection is from a local music label here called Suicide Squeeze Records. And there's this band from Atlanta called the Coat Hangers. And this is Suck My Shirt. And they're kind of garagey, kind of a mix and mash, just all over the place, but good. And even they change instruments and each of them sings. So they're always
cool.
Songs sound a little different. And in their big video from this one, Follow Me, they had the guys from Mastodon play them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cool. It's really funny, but this is a great album. I've listened to it a lot. It's just constantly, it came out in 2014, I believe, and it's just constantly on rotation with me. It's never left me. I didn't know quite what to pair it with, but I picked this beer that's another seasonal from Black Raven, which is outside of Seattle in a place called Redmond, Woodinville area, and it's a Doppelbock, and it's a part of a series they're doing in their collaboration with Skagit Brewing up north. And the first ingredient in malt. So it's dark, but it's really light, and it packs a little bit of a punch, kind of like the Coat Hangers, real straightforward, but just real fun, tastes good, familiar, awesome.
Nice.
Good brewery. Let me see my third one. Oh, third one. I've been thinking about these guys a lot lately because of the movie Dune and all the accolades that came with Dune. But this is Sandwriter. Great. And this is Sandwriter. They're from Seattle, and they used to be in a band called Akimbo in the 2000s that were on Alternative Tentacles. But really nice. The whole album is for Dune, and they were on Good to Die Records. This came out in 2011. Really, really strong, really heavy album. And it's just got a re-release. They signed with a new label from around here called Satanic Royalty. So it's back out, and it's been out of print for a long time. So really good band. I became friends with these guys. I actually had the privilege of co-directing one of their music videos.
Oh, nice.
Album. But lately this is the one I always seem to come back to. This one. I don't know. I love all their albums, but this is the one I've been, especially lately, listening a lot to. I think it's because of Dune. You know, I watched that movie, and then I'm thinking of the songs the whole time, you know, nice. Nerding out. The fourth one I have is a band on Ride Easy Records and Zigzags, and they're from Long Beach. Oh, did I not do my beer for?
Oh, yeah.
This is my beer on Sandwriter. Excuse me. Sandwriter, I did another local beer. I was trying to get the bitter, but it keeps selling out. So I got an oatmeal stout from another local brewery, Machine House. And this is an oatmeal stout, and I paired it with Sandwriter because it's just pretty heavy, packs a punch, just like Sandwriter, you know, blow your ears out a little bit. This is nice. Actually, I'm going to have some of this.
There you go. Right on.
I can get it open. Nice and dark. Then the fourth one, like I said, the Zigzags. I believe they're from Los Angeles or Long Beach, but a cool cover. It's like some kind of beach disaster. These guys tripping out. Right Easy Records. Really good kind of mix of metal and punk, thrash metal. Really fun songs singing about horror movies and stuff.
Cool.
Cool.
Just really fun band. I haven't had the chance to see them because every time they come through Seattle, it's like Tuesday night, and I'm a school teacher, so I'm like, what am I gonna? I gotta take the day off. But next time I'm going, and I paired them with the classic from Georgetown Brewery here in Seattle, Johnny Utah, after Point Break, the movie. Really 5% pale. Slam these down. Those guys are from the beach. Point Break. I'm sure at the concert drink like 50 of these. So, and last but not least, have I skipped any beer? I'm sorry.
No, I think you're good.
No, you got it.
All right. Last but not least, this I just barely got this, but it was part of the Sub Pop 30th year. They were re-releasing a bunch of stuff, and they did Soundgarden's first 2 EPs, The Screaming Life and Flash. And this sounds great. They put another record in here with some songs never released, but they're kind of weird and like they're fucking around a bit, you know. But it's still fun to have. But this has been on heavy rotation. I forgot about the power of this album and Chris Cornell wailing, and then we just lost them. And this one's been heavy rotation.
Nice.
And I paired this with another Georgetown Brewing. Georgetown Brewing and Rubens are my favorite here in Seattle, but this is called Lucille. And this is just a classic, what you would think, Northwest IPA. Nothing to taste exactly how you think it's going to taste, but only really awesome, way better. You know what I mean?
Right.
Really good stuff. But there's my list.
Nice.
I like it. Yeah, a lot of bands I need to check out.
Yeah,
no, I've heard of some of these. I think you played Zigzags for me before, but when I've been up there, but there's some of those bands I've never even heard of them. I need to check those guys out.
The Zigzags got me through COVID. I was down here just blasting them constantly.
Nice.
Cool.
They're one of those bands like I'd heard a lot of their little singles and EPs, and then over COVID, I listened to their album a million times on Spotify. So I thought I better buy the record. You know what I mean? I listened to it like 1,000 times. So I bought the record, and now I listen to the vinyl constantly.
Cool. Very cool. All right. I guess that leaves me. So here's the funny thing. The guy that has the beer pairing page, I didn't actually do pairings. I just got 5 albums and 5 beers. So I'll just do my albums first and then jump on the beers. And I kind of went in it's a little weird. So I didn't necessarily do like my favorite albums of all time. I did stuff that impacted me from kind of my formative years. So, and this goes back way back. So the first one is definitely not metal. And I'm going with Blondie. Parallel Lines. So this album came out when I was 7 years old, I think. And my mom and I remember, and Jeremy and Jerry will remember ZCMI, the Tiffin Room. My mom, it's a restaurant in this department store when we were kids. It's long gone. But yeah, my mom we'd drive down there, and I just remember driving in the car, listening to like KCPX and singing along with Debbie Harry, like at the top of our lungs, I'm just a little kid, and and I thought, wow, my mom's pretty cool. like she knows the lyrics. So and I think it was like my first like realization, like even though I was a young child, like kind of like that music could be kind of sexually charged a little bit. And I was like, wow, I don't know what's going on, but I really like Debbie Harry. I don't know why, but there's something about her I really dig. So that's my first choice.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind of go in order, not necessarily in order of how the albums were released, but kind of in order of how I discovered them. But anyway, so when I was fast forward a couple of years forward, there was a kid that lived down the street from me named Stevie Campbell. And I'm sure he goes by Steven now, but anyway, Stevie Campbell. And he was probably 4 or 5 years older than me, and he was a rocker. And I remember one day my buddy Matt and I were just out riding our bikes, and Stevie was outside. He's like, "Hey, come here. I want to show you guys something." And he had pitched a tent in his backyard and and he'd been camping in his backyard for like a week. And it was in this, summer. And he had run an extension cord out there and brought out his Wi-Fi system, and his hi-fi system, not Wi-Fi, his hi-fi system. And he had a new album, and it was Queen. Sorry, getting a bit of Queen.
The game.
And so I had heard Another One Bites the Dust on the radio, but I hadn't heard the album, because I'm like 10 years old, 9 years old. I don't know how old I was, but it just blew my mind, especially like Dragon Attack. Like, holy shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, yeah, it just kind of blew my mind, just that power and, the vocals and the guitar, just everything was so big to me. I thought it was really amazing. So fast forward a few more years, when I was a kid, the local library, Weaver County Library here in Ogden, where I live, had a massive record collection, surprisingly huge. And you could check out all these records. And I still have it. It's right behind me, a Quasar 2000 record player. And so I'd go down there and just leave with stacks of records. And at the time I was really into pop music. I think, I was like, 12, 13 years old. I was listening to a lot of like Duran Duran and Simple Minds and stuff like that. And for some reason I saw this album and it just looked interesting to me. And I didn't really know anything about Jimi Hendrix. I had heard of him, but I didn't really know anything. And it just totally blew my mind. Like it changed the way I listened to music completely. From there I went on to like, Led Zeppelin and Jethro Tull and multiple other bands. But yeah, I just started listening to heavier music and, Deep Purple and, very guitar driven music. And it was, definitely Jimi Hendrix was that, I think that core reason of that. So anyway, the next also a library find. However, my uncle was big into this band, so I knew them and I knew their music, but I hadn't really sat down and really listened to them. And for some reason, I think it was the album cover caught my eye. But another, and it ended up becoming probably one of my all-time favorite bands, if not my favorite band. But that's Rush, Exit Stage Left. So yeah, and it just one of the best live albums I think ever. And it just really kind of solidified, and it kind of started pushing me more into metal, towards a more metal genre, the metal genre. But yeah, it was a big album for me. And like I said, I knew who they were. My uncle listened to them, but yeah, just sitting down and hearing that album, and it just kind of blew my mind. Just the melodies and the intricacy of the music and the lyrics, and especially as a teenager, because I was probably 15-ish, I don't know, at the time. But yeah, just it seemed to like speak to me personally, this, in a lot of ways. So I thought it was really cool. And then the last album, and this one, I remember this very vividly. I was with my buddy Chad. We were 16, and he popped a tape, and we were driving his mom's car somewhere. I don't know where we were going, but he popped a tape in, and I'd never heard anything like this before. And it's what like catapulted me into the metal world and the thrash metal world specifically. But that was Kill 'Em All, which I just couldn't believe that kind of rage and power. And it was everything my 16-year-old mind was at that time. Like, I was pissed off, and I couldn't get enough of that album. And I still have the tape. I bought it on tape immediately. I still have the tape too. But just such a cool, complex, straightforward, punch in the face kind of. There was so much going on, but then it was great. It's I don't know, and it's what got me listening to so many metal bands. Just kind of, like I said, kind of catapulted that whole thing. As far as beers go, I guess I'll just kind of do them in alphabetical order for the breweries. So the first one up is Desert Edge, and this is the Better Days IPA, and it's pretty mellow, nothing crazy. It's like 6.6% IPA. So my buddy Chad, who's also my brother-in-law, he's the guy that introduced me to Metallica, by the way. He's a brewer, and he was the head brewer at Desert Edge. He left there, but this was the last beer he created and brewed, I believe, before he left the company. And it's just a super solid IPA. I don't think they make it anymore. It was kind of like a one-off, but it's one of the best IPAs I've ever had. I really like it a lot, and I'm a big IPA drinker, so it's a big one for me. And now he's at Fisher Brewing, which is a favorite of mine, watering hole. They don't do packaging so much. They'll do like small packaging, but they do like growlers and crowlers. And every once in a while they'll do a beer. So like I got this one, which is the Rig to Flip. And they hired a local artist to do the artwork. It's pretty cool. And also an IPA, or actually this is a double IPA, I believe. Yeah, it's 7.5. But really solid. They're kind of hop masters. Yeah, they do a lot of cool stuff, but all very drinkable. They do a lot of 5% beers, just kind of mellow stuff that's, really drinkable. And they're ridiculously busy all the time. And they're constantly switching out beers. They're just constantly brewing, but great brewery. They do a lot of cool stuff that I really like. The next two actually are from your neck of the woods, Mark. I've got a couple, nice. Colorado beers. So the first one is Voodoo Ranger, and not necessarily this 8-hop pale ale, but like kind of all of theirs. And part of it's, and this is New Belgium.
Up in Fort Collins.
Yeah, great brewery. And I'm a sucker for the mascot. So like Eddie, it's like, I love the Voodoo Ranger. It's just a cool, but they make really solid beer. And I've really liked all of the Voodoo Ranger beers that they've done. And I like the fact that they kind of just keep reinventing it, kind of changing it's a seasonal. They, every year, every several months, actually, I think they switch it out, do a new one, and they do different IPAs or pale ales, or, sometimes they're big and boozy and sometimes they're pretty mellow. But yeah, I really like them a lot. The next one, I debated on which beer to do from these guys because they do a lot of cool stuff, but True Brewing out of Denver.
Okay.
And they're a heavy metal brewery, basically.
Yeah.
In fact, the head brewer is the drummer of Chemists. But they do a lot of really cool beers, and everything's kind of metal themed. So I picked for them, the Jewel Throne, which is a wild ale. So of course, named after the great Celtic Frost song. This one's pretty mellow. Like, a lot of their beers are pretty mellow, actually. This one's 5.5%. But they do a lot of wild yeast. So they get these, real leathery, crazy flavors, funky, a lot of barnyard funk kind of flavors with their beers. And they do some straightforward stuff, but they're kind of known for their sours and for their saisons. That one's one of my favorites that they've done, but they do a lot of cool stuff. Like I said, it's all kind of metal themed. If you're ever in Denver, go check out True. It's a fun place to hang out, just because it's all black. Everything's black. They have behind the bar almost looks like an altar, and they just blast heavy metal music all day long. It's great. So you go. I mean, the last time my wife and I went there, I was driving. She ended up having to drive because they played Sepultura Rise and like the whole album. And I'm like, well, I have to listen to this. so I started drinking their IPAs and like listening to that album. And she's like, how about I drive? I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then my last beer, which is what I'm drinking right now, is a local brewery here in Ogden. They're about a mile away from my house, which is kind of dangerous. But they're called Utah, and this is their OG juice, which is a hazy IPA. And it's real tasty, and it's not too crazy. I think it's 7% or so. It's juicy, but it's not, like I said, it's hazy, but it doesn't taste. It tastes really straightforward, like almost like just a straightforward IPA. I mean, it's got the juiciness to it, but it's not ridiculous. But it's a real solid beer, I think. It's just, and they do a great job. Brett, who's the brewer down there, is just phenomenal brewer, and he's such a nice guy. He's just a super down to earth. He'll talk to anybody. He'll show people around, and they just make great beer, and real solid stuff. I mean, they don't do a lot of crazy things. I think, like this would be, crazier for them. They do just kind of straight, they do a Kolsch, they do, a Pilsner, they just do kind of, your standard beers, but they do a really good job at it, which I think is cool. So yeah, they're a lot of fun. So anyway, yeah, that's my list. Cheers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, this was great. This was really cool. So yeah,
No,
thanks
fun.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. So cheers to everybody. Yeah, we may end up doing this again someday. So this was this was great. So very cool.